Bucks have essentially swapped out Damian Lillard for Miles Turner, and Giannis Antetokounmpo is not happy.
Well, I don't know what to tell you with this one. I really don't. Because they've tried this type of strategy a few times to satisfy Giannis, and it's worked in the past. When they brought in Drew Holiday and they brought in Dame. Now they're trying it again with Miles Turner.
Yeah, and Miles. I mean, we talked about it going into Game 7 against the Thunder. It might have been his last game in a Pacer uniform. I always personally thought Miles Turner was underrated. He's certainly an upgrade over Brook Lopez. I would say this: I don't know who their guards are going to be on their team because. And I don't even think that they knew what their guard situation was going to be. But since Damian Lillard was going to be out next year anyway, and you are replacing Brook Lopez with Miles Turner, who does provide you size and rim protection, something Milwaukee did not have a year ago, and Brook Lopez was really not even a rim protector. He mostly just stood outside the arc and shot threes for the last few years. I actually think this is not a terrible move. I don't hate it. I'm not saying it's going to win the Bucks the East, but am I saying, do I think it potentially could put them on the level of the Pacers, just not as deep? Like, are they sort of Indiana White? They could be. Like, I'm not writing them off. I think they're going to go in with Giannis and Miles Turner and say, hey, we got 1 year. Let's see what we can do.
That's going to be a fun matchup. I wish Tyrese was fully healthy, but that Bucks-Pacers rivalry has been I personally enjoyed it the last few seasons.
And by the way, I think that's one of the reasons why the Bucks made this deal. I think if Halliburton is not injured or Tatum, they don't make this deal. Like, I think the only reason why the Bucks are apparently keeping Giannis and they go out and they make this deal is because of the injuries that have been, including Damian Lillard in the Eastern Conference.
Because, I agree with you.
Let's face it, as great as Dame is, as great as he was in Portland, even with him in Milwaukee, remember Giannis was hurt during that time a little bit. They never really played a ton together in Milwaukee. I remember when they made the deal, it was one of our first shows here on Championship Rings, and we were talking about the Bucks and the Celtics being easily the top two teams in the Eastern Conference. Look how the mighty have fallen since then. The Dame trade just didn't work out, and for the Bucks, they have to own it. And I think they're sitting there going, we may have, at worst, the third best player in the NBA, and our conference is so down, we can't trade him away. We just have to get lucky. I think it's what they're trying to say.
Yeah. But like you said, Giannis isn't necessarily happy, so is he going to stay in Milwaukee?
I don't. I guess my point is, from the Giannis perspective, why is he so unhappy? Like, I think that Dame for Turner straight up actually makes the Bucks a better basketball team today.
Yeah, but you said it. Who are their guards now? Like, who's their small forward? Like, you're missing 3 players essentially from your starting lineup.
I believe they brought back Bobby Portis, right? So he's back. They signed him, so he's going to be their starting 4, or he could even play the 5. I would imagine Giannis is going to be their 4. So they got 3 out of their 5 players. I think the Bucks are trying to build like the old school NBA, just go on and sign 10 guys for the veteran minimum.
I don't know what to tell you with the Bucks. They're a confusing team right now. But then again, the whole Eastern Conference is confusing, including the New York Knicks, who fired Tom Thibodeau and go, hey, Dallas, can we interview Jason Kidd? No. Houston, can we interview Ime Udoka? No. Hey, Atlanta, can we interview Quinn Snyder? No. Chicago, can we interview Billy Donovan? No. And then and they eventually hire 2-time Coach of the Year, Mike Brown. What?
I want to make this comment real quick, is that NBA coaching cycles are weird. So in the NFL, we know that generally, if you get fired a second time as a head coach, you usually don't get a third job. And if you do, it's like Pete Carroll, where you like take a year off or two, and then you come back and it's like a last hurrah. Like during the NFL, if you don't work twice as head coach, you're relegated to a coordinator for the rest of your career. In the NBA, we got guys like Mike Brown, Tom Thibodeau, Frank Vogel, JB Bickerstaff, Mike D'Antoni back in the day. Like, name them. These guys get like 5 jobs.
Yeah.
It's
Didn't
like
Frank Vogel get like a lead assistant?
yeah, he's going to be the lead assistant. And by the way, he's had 4 head coaching jobs: Phoenix, LA, Orlando, and I know Indiana. So and Mike Brown, he was with Cleveland twice. He was head coach of Sacramento. He was the assistant with Golden State when they won those championships with Kevin Durant. I may be missing another head coaching stop somewhere in there. But this guy is like an NBA. The Lakers in 2011, he was their head coach. Remember when they got rid of Phil Jackson? He was in there. So he's coached a lot of great players. He's coached LeBron. He's coached Kobe. He's coached Kevin Durant. He's coached Steph Curry. He's coached De'Aaron Fox. He's coached Sabonis. He's coached Kyrie Irving. Now he's going to coach Jalen Brunson, who out of all the point guards he's had, maybe besides Steph, obviously young Kyrie, maybe the second best point guard he's coached and probably the best point guard he's had as a head coach. Who knows? I think this is a lateral move, though. It reminds me of I'm trying to think of a lateral move in the NFL when Eric Bieniemy went from the Chiefs offensive coordinator to the Commanders offensive coordinator, and we all kind of thought it was a lateral move that didn't make much of a difference. I don't think that Mike Brown is too different from Tom Thibodeau. He might be a nicer Tom Thibodeau. He's going to win you games, but I don't think Mike Brown's the strategist that's going to get you over the top in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, he might be willing to use his bench more than Tom Thibodeau, but okay, I don't see this moving the needle that much. I still view the Knicks as, probably a top 3 team in the East, but does this move?
And to my knowledge, that they didn't make one move yet. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think they have made one move.
Not that I'm aware of. I might be missing something.
I don't think they've lost anybody, and I don't think they've gained anybody. I literally thought they stayed put, which is interesting that you think it's the coach's fault when, in my opinion, you need more shooting. And I agree, you can make an argument it was Tom Thibodeau's fault. But if you're going to move off Tibbs, I said it a couple weeks ago, you go for a young offensive guy, like what Phoenix did. They grabbed someone off Kenny Atkinson's staff, or you go get, the lead assistant off of, I don't know, OKC or Golden State. I'm not familiar as much with the NBA assistants as I am with the NFL assistants. But, wouldn't you think that's the direction you go as an offensive guru when you move off the defensive guy?
I would think so, but they didn't want to do that. I don't know what to tell you.
He's basically a nicer Tom Thibodeau.
The Knicks are such a weird team. I don't know what to make of them. They're kind of like the Bucks in that regard. I feel like you could put the Bucks and Knicks in that same tier, really.
And not for nothing, but Mike Brown did okay in LA. It was a big city. He wasn't great. His biggest success was when he could hide in Cleveland and when he could hide in Sacramento. I don't know how well he's going to do under the pressure of coaching in the Big Apple, because those Knicks fans, I don't care what me and you believe, the Knicks fans believe they are serious NBA Finals contenders, and they believe that they should be at least in the NBA Finals next year.
Yeah. Have you noticed the recent trend, though, with the Eastern Conference Finals? The team that has lost in the Eastern Conference Finals has gone on to represent the East in the NBA Finals the next season. Think about this. Indiana lost in the 2024 Eastern Conference Finals. who went to the NBA Finals this year? It was Indiana. The Celtics lost to the Miami Heat in the 2023 Eastern Conference Finals. Who went on to play in the 2024 NBA Finals? The Boston Celtics. The Heat lost in the 2022 Eastern Conference Finals. Who went to the 2023 NBA Finals? Miami. I believe
that's a good point, but all three of those teams did not fire their head coach immediately after. Boston had a coaching change, but it was the year before when they lost to Miami because Udoka was out right after the finals.
Right, because of that whole scandal.
Right. So it took Missoula a year, but all of those teams, like Rick Carlisle stayed the second year. Spoelstra, obviously. It was Missoula's second year when they made the finals. So none of those teams made a coaching change. The only president of a team making a coaching change and making the finals the same year was us, with David Blatt and Tyronn Lue.
Yes.
Speaking of us, we have made some moves. Isaac Okoro, bye-bye. I can't tell you how happy I was to see that news, that finally the stress of watching Isaac Okoro play basketball in downtown Cleveland, Ohio is no longer.
When we made that trade, I think I tried calling you.
Okay, that's why you called, because I saw something late in the day. I was away from my phone. I was at a party. I wasn't around my phone. I saw that call late, and I didn't see you text or follow up, so I don't think I followed up. But that is why. That's funny.
When I saw the trade of the Cavaliers are trading Isaac Okoro to the Chicago Bulls for Alonzo Ball, I just broke out in pure laughter.
Why? Explain.
I'm like, what are we doing? Don't we have enough drama in Cleveland already with, DW4 and all his shenanigans, Shedeur Sanders and Dion hanging over him, and now you're breaking Lonzo Ball, and of course that means LeVar Ball.
Who's already gone on ESPN Cleveland and said that Lonzo is going to be the key piece to bringing the Cavs a championship.
But I get trading Okoro, but why for Lonzo? The dude hasn't been able to stay healthy. I get it. He was the number 2 overall pick. I think that was the same draft where Tatum was drafted.
It was. Tatum went the 3rd pick.
But, Lonzo has not been able to stay healthy. He's not much better offensively than Okoro, so I don't see it as a major upgrade, really.
He's just coming back from 2 years of a serious knee injury. I think last year was when he made his return. Decent bench guy. I look at it as more like he's going to replace Ty Jerome, who they let go. The funniest thing about this city that I just don't understand, maybe it's the emotional attachment of these fans, but the Cavs fans that I have heard on the radio or seen on the internet, they are so up in arms about Ty Jerome not coming back, but then they celebrate the return of Larry Nance just because he's from Cleveland. And I'm like, I forgot Larry Nance was still in the league for a couple of years.
Yeah, that move made no sense. I get it. He can play the 4. He can play the 3. I guess he can play the 5 if you really want him to. But I still feel like we need a true backup big. But other than that, we re-signed Sam Merrill. Ty Jerome obviously signed with Memphis. But, is Lonzo going to be our starter since Darius Garland probably won't be back due to the surgery he had?
For now, and who knows if Darius Garland is still on the team. There is one move out there that we're going to get to later in the show that may or may not happen. Who knows? But to me, that is the only move the Cavs could potentially make to really shake up their team.
Yeah. Great. We signed Larry Nance Jr. That doesn't change anything for me.
The weird thing is, I honestly feel like the team that has gotten the best better, I don't know how to phrase it. the team in the East that I feel like has improved the most, let's say, for the entire offseason so far, is the goddamn Orlando Magic.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Like, I seriously, I think Desmond Bain is the most significant move any team has made in the East this offseason. And is it the effect of Halliburton, Tatum, and Damian Lillard not playing, and the East team just saying we're going to sit on our hands and we'll battle it out in April? Because that's what it feels like to me.
It certainly feels that way. Um, it's weird that Detroit has been relatively quiet.
Well, did you see who they signed? I don't know if I told you this. This was funny because it was as soon as free agency happened.
No, I think I missed it.
They brought in the one and only Karis LeVert.
I did hear about this.
Who I thought, oh my God, he must have loved JB Bickerstaff. What the hell was that about?
That I did hear about that. But like, you know, in terms of the Cavs, okay, you re-sign Sam Merrill, you trade for Lonzo Ball, you sign Larry Nance Jr. None of those moves really moved the needle for me.
What doesn't make us theoretically maybe like 1% better off the bench? Maybe. I mean, maybe. You know, if Lonzo can shoot and Larry Nance can give you quality backup power forward minutes, maybe it makes you 1% better, but it doesn't move the needle. But I think the Cavs are asking themselves, do we need to move the needle?
Yeah, I agree with you. But like I said, I'd like to back up big. What are you going to ask Jared Allen to play almost 40 minutes a game? No.
Speaking of bigs, there is a 7-foot guy out in Denver who, after they won the championship in 2023, I said they had a chance to be the next dynasty. And it all blew up in my face when they lost the T-Wolves in that 7-game series in the second round a year ago. Then I vastly criticized the Nuggets and said there's nobody around Nikola Jokic. He's basically playing 1-on-5. Jamal Murray is never healthy. You can't trust Michael Porter. They got rid of Jeff Green. They got rid of Bruce Brown. They don't have any help. And now they go out and they trade that injury-prone Michael Porter for a guy who absolutely lit it up last year in Brooklyn, who was a tremendous scorer in Cam Johnson. And they got Bruce Brown back to be their lead defender. And I'm sitting here going, let's pray for Denver fans. Jamal Murray is healthy, but absolutely Denver. You got better. This is big moves. And yes, to answer the question on the screen, they are back in my good graces. And I'm being honest with you, Josh. I'm sitting here saying if Cam Johnson and Bruce Brown perform the way I think they can, I think the Western Conference Finals next year may reside in Denver, Colorado.
And Oklahoma City or what?
And Houston, Texas.
Oh, wow. Interesting. That would be quite the matchup for, and I believe NBC is going to broadcast the Western Conference Finals next year.
Listen, I know that this is a little bit off topic, but we can go to it if you want. I think the Rockets are now the deepest team in the NBA.
Really?
Well, I think they're so deep. I love everything they did this offseason. I think they have made themselves perennial NBA Finals contenders. I think they're right there with OKC, and I think it's going to be so hard for OKC to repeat and get that energy up that, yes, I absolutely will follow the trend that OKC will not make the Western Conference Finals next year.
So, I don't know if you've heard this, but from what I heard, the Suns and Rockets are trying to turn this Kevin Durant trade into like a 7.
Yeah, I saw it was like Shams tweeted it. I wanted to make sure it wasn't parody and wanted to make sure I wasn't getting duped because I saw it last night. First of all, I didn't even know if that was legal. Apparently it is. But what else are they trying to get out of it?
I don't know. As far as I know, I think it's legit. I'm not 100% sure.
I know the Lakers are one of the teams involved.
I think Atlanta was part of it, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see.
Would have been a research live in the air, folks. Sorry for the dead air.
Yes. The Nets,
Nets,
Warriors,
Lakers, Hawks, and God
and
damn it,
Timberwolves.
and Timberwolves. There was an ad that came up on my screen. I was reading an article from the New York Post. So,
We're probably looking at the same article then.
wow. Okay, that's something.
Yeah, like how is that gonna? How are the logistics of all that gonna work? Like what the hell?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, to get back to the original question, like, yes, absolutely. I think the top 3 teams in the West now, I'm not going to put them in order yet because I want to see how they play. I think it's Denver, I think it's Houston, and I think it's OKC. And I think everybody else, there's a gap.
I would agree with you. I think there is a bit of a gap between, I would put OKC and Houston, and then a little bit of a gap before you get to Denver.
Well, here's what I go back to, Josh. Denver took the Thunder to 7 games. And I don't know if you saw, Lou Dort was just on a recent podcast. Lou Dort said that when they went into game 4 against Indiana, they weren't scared. They still felt like that they were the best team in that series. He said when they went down 2-1 to Denver, they legitimately thought, uh-oh, like, we have to win game 4 or we're going to lose this series. So that tells me that they legitimately think Denver is their number 1 challenger. Now, whether Houston's moves are enough that they, can challenge them remain to be seen, obviously. But, like, I think Denver got better.
So I understand that, but it's still those non-Jokic minutes that concern me for the Nuggets. And when he does sub out of the game, I don't have that trust in them yet. So
that's where I think Cam Johnson is huge because he can go get his own shot. He was used to being the number 1 option in Brooklyn. He scored at will, where Michael Porter couldn't do that.
And I understand that. But again, because Denver doesn't really have a backup big, which is kind of the same problem I was alluding to when we were talking about the Cavs. Because of that, that's why I put a little bit of a gap. It's not much. I put OKC and Houston, in like tier 1A, and then I would put Denver in tier 1B.
That's fair. I will say this, because originally I thought Denver was going to turn into Milwaukee, and now they got Rick Adelman replacing Mike Malone, who strangely did not even get offered a job. Don't ask me what's going on there. But I think Denver, as the question says, I think they are back in my good graces. I think they are back to being championship potential contenders, and I don't think they're going to fall through the wayside the way the Bucks have with Giannis.
For me, it comes down to those non-Jokic minutes.
All right. Well, question I've been waiting to answer this whole show tonight. There is a report out there that LeBron James wants out of Los Angeles and that the Lakers also want him out of LA. I believe half of that statement. I believe the latter half of that statement. I don't think LeBron wants out of LA. I think if he wanted out of LA, he could have got out of LA. He could have opted out of his contract. He opted into his contract because I don't think LeBron particularly does care about winning anymore. I think LeBron cares about his lifestyle. Bronny is on the Lakers. He's got all his business in LA. He's just trying to be relevant at age 41 years old. I don't think chasing a championship is his most important aspect, regardless of what Rich Paul says. But I do believe the Lakers have privately told him, if you want to seek a trade, we will make it happen because you are not in our future plans. We are not trying to win the championship next year in the 2025-2026 season. We are going to build around Luka, and we are going to build this roster and get potential pieces for a potential longer championship window 2-3 years down the road from now.
So I wonder how that would affect JJ Redick, because the Lakers hired him thanks in large part because of LeBron. And
I agree partially to that. I kind of think JJ wanted the job because of LeBron, but I think JJ impressed the Lakers brass so much that he was going to get the job regardless. And I think JJ is smart. I think he clearly has control and autonomy over the roster. I think he sent a message to Rob Pelinka in the front office during the playoff series against Minnesota that he does not trust any of the bigs, which is why they went out and they got DeAndre Ayton. I know people are saying it's because of LeBron. They needed a big regardless. We all know that. So I actually think JJ is here for the long haul. I think he will be the Lakers head coach for the presumable future.
And in terms, you referenced it earlier, like LeBron they sent out like a photo that sent shockwaves, I guess. It was like him at a golf outing or something, and I believe his hat said "Welcome Home."
He was wearing a welcome home cap. Yep, and he was out golfing here in the Akron area. So let me just say this: in order for the Cavs to acquire LeBron, they would need to basically get rid of Darius Garland, Jarrett Allen, and Max Strus. Now, do I think LeBron, Evan Mobley, and Donovan Mitchell could be a championship winning team? I actually don't, because I think this NBA is more based off depth than star power, and I don't think
you mean depth, not depth.
Yes, I said depth. I'm sorry. I think that that's what this NBA is built on, and I don't think the Cavs would have enough of that. If they were to keep Jarrett Allen, DG, and find a way to insert LeBron into that lineup, that is a championship team. But the reason why I want this to happen is not so much because, oh my God, it'd be great to have LeBron come home and try to win a championship, yada, yada, yada. I actually think this should happen because I want LeBron to mentor Evan Mobley. I want LeBron to show Evan Mobley how to eat right, how to be a pro, and I want LeBron to come back here for 1 year to unleash that man, to make Evan Mobley become the best power forward in Cleveland Cavalier history, so Evan Mobley can be our number one option to lead us to a championship and not Donovan Mitchell.
That's an interesting prospect that, to be honest with you, I hadn't even thought about.
I don't even care if they don't win the championship. That I don't care. If LeBron comes back here and we stink, I honestly won't care. I need him here to help mentor Evan Mobley. I want this to happen strictly because of that. I'll give up Garland. I'll give up Allen. I'll give up Strus. I want him here so we can develop Evan Mobley more.
It's an interesting idea, and I kind of like it. Don't love giving up Garland. I know you and I disagree on him a little bit. Though, like I've told you, I understand your issues with him.
Well, did you hear what LeBron, actually, Kevin Durant, and Steve Nash were talking about on their Mind the Game podcast?
I did not know.
They were talking about the value of small point guards in today's NBA because we have so many point forwards, or we have guys like LaMelo Ball or Cade Cunningham who are like these 6'8" guards. And they were saying you cannot win with 2 6'1" guards the way I've been saying. And they specifically brought up Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland in Cleveland. And Kevin Durant said, you can win with Donovan Mitchell. This was his exact quote. The Cavs are a very good basketball team. If you're going to beat the Cavs, you are going to target Darius Garland because he cannot defend, and they cannot win with both Garland and Mitchell on the court at the same time.
And that's why you saw the Boston Celtics constantly putting Garland in pick and rolls to get him on Jason Tatum.
Yes, which is why the argument is to trade Garland. And I know I don't want to turn this into a Cavs topic, but you could also, theoretically, I'm throwing this out there, you can make the argument to make a call to see what you could get for Donovan Mitchell.
I don't know about that one.
I'm just saying, I am throwing it out there because I think everything right now is on the table. I think Evan Mobley is your only untouchable player.
I would say Donovan Mitchell's untouchable as well.
Everybody says that, but here's the one thing I'll go back to. And Cleveland fans, you can hate on me all you want for this. Donovan Mitchell, not just in Cleveland, in Utah as well, had good teams. He had a number one seed in Utah. He has not made it out of the second round.
Oh, I understand that. I totally get that. But if you're able to pair Donovan Mitchell with LeBron and an Evan Mobley, like what you're suggesting, I do think that's a championship team. It depends on what you would have to give up to get LeBron, though. You know, if you have
I think you have to give up Garland and Allen if it was just a Lakers Cavs. There's other scenarios people have thrown out there where maybe it's a 3 or 4 team trade where they only have to give up one of those two. I don't know the logistics of it. I think we are very close to LeBron not entering October on the Lakers roster. And again, I don't think he wants to move. I really don't. But I think he would waive his no trade clause for one team, and that team would be us.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't see him like waiving his no trade clause for Boston, for example, or like Orlando or Phoenix. God, the Suns are a mess, though. So good God.
Here's the other thing that I think no one is talking about. There's always LeBron rumors, right? He's the master of social media manipulation. He's the master of cryptic posts. There's always a LeBron rumor out there of something he's doing, and people get all upset about it. But whenever there's a trade rumor or he's unhappy or he's running the show and all this, Rich Paul always immediately comes out and Clutch issues a statement and they say, no, this isn't true. LeBron's fully committed or embraced or whatever language they use, yada, yada, yada. If you've noticed, since these specific Cavs rumors have come out, neither LeBron, Rich Paul, or his camp have denied or confirmed any of the rumors, which tells me there is smoke to this.
Yeah, I do think people are maybe reading into, the picture of him wearing the welcome home cap at the golf outing a little too much. I don't think there's a lot to that specifically.
But again, and I agree with you, but don't you think if there was no chance he'd leave the Lakers, they would tell Brian Windhorst there's no chance we're leaving the Lakers and it would have been shut down immediately?
Yeah. That part I agree with you, but like as of right last I heard from reports I read, the Cavs are not interested in trading for him.
Which to me is a mistake. You definitely make the call.
So
I'm not saying it's a championship team. You're higher on it than I am. I wouldn't even be mad if we didn't win the championship. I'm saying he needs to come here to make Evan Mobley the best player he could be.
I just don't get it. Like, I understand the Western Conference is loaded, but you've got LeBron and Luka. That gives you a chance.
It's not enough in the West. I mean, they are seriously 5th or 6th in the West right now.
Yeah, I would
think about it. Oklahoma City's better than them. Houston is better than them. Denver is better than them. Minnesota is better than them. I would argue the Clippers are better than them. I would argue the Spurs could be better than them. I could argue the Mavericks, when healthy, are better than them.
The Mavericks are going to be such an interesting team. They're going to be fascinating. Not to get off topic here, but we will. You draft Cooper Flagg #1 overall. You re-sign Daniel Gafford. Kyrie's trying to get healthy. You got Klay Thompson. You still have PJ Washington. I think that the Mavericks re-signed Dante Exum. The Mavericks are going to be a fascinating team to watch.
Come February. And that's the problem because Kyrie Irving may be back by then, but will Anthony Davis?
I completely see that's part of the issue with the Mavericks. I forgot about Anthony Davis.
So that's where I'm at with the Mavs, is where I think they could be a really good team. I'm not going to go crazy with them. I think at best, if everybody's healthy, they have a second-round ceiling. I do. Like, I think Houston's better than them. I think OKC's better than them. I think Denver's better than them. We've already established that. So, but yes, I think when healthy for 1 year, they are better than this current Laker team. And Nico Ericson should thank his lucky stars that he got lucky because otherwise he would have been thrown out on the street. I mean, sometimes people get lucky.
Yeah. Um, that's no disrespect towards Anthony Davis, but the dude can't stay healthy. So that's why I forgot about him when I was listing some of the other players for them. But, you know, you're going to have Cooper Flag, like I said. You're going to have PJ Washington. Kyrie is going to be back probably in late January, maybe early February. I still am a big Klay Thompson fan. I know you're not as high.
That's the guy I forgot about was Clay.
Yeah, which I understand why you're not as big of a fan as I am.
I think he can still make shots. I think he's lost always legitimacy on defense. I think he's just a 3-point shooter now.
Yeah, he's not nearly the defender he was.
Like, I think he could be a decent 6 or 7 man off the bench. Absolutely. The way this Mavericks team is built now, and maybe when Kyrie comes back, he can come off the bench. Yeah, I want that a lot. Hell, if the Cavs could get a Klay Thompson for that, that's what the Cavs need.
Can the Cavs please put DeAndre Hunter into the starting lineup and move Max Strus to the bench? Please?
Sounds like they're not. But